This is a scramble. All the teams are cheating.
That's why you don't want to win one, in my opinion. I'm like, I never show up to these.
So the winner is the biggest cheater, pretty much.
It's hard for me to find my rhythm sometimes in these scrambles too, because you're not hitting all of your shots. You're kind of skipping some sometimes.
Yeah, like there, none of us got the putt.
Beauty.
Oh my God.
Keep turning.
What a good shot.
Keep turning.
This guy's a good golfer. We're going to have to talk to his boss about that.
Yeah, it's part of the job description.
Luckily, my job description does not include golf. I'm Chris Mudd. I'm with Chiron Financial. Chiron is a middle market investment bank. Headquartered in Houston. We've got offices around the US, and we've got 3 offices in Europe: London, Paris, and Geneva. Yeah, so we're middle market, and being in Houston, we do a lot of oil and gas and energy, but we also do other end markets. Last year we closed a deal in the chocolates confectionery space. We currently have stuff going on in mining and oil field services. My background is chemicals, so I tend to bring in most of the chemical deals.
Yeah.
But we've also done technology, so a little bit of everything. I think if Chiron is famous for one thing, it's probably distressed stuff. A lot of people think of us when a company is in trouble. We kind of specialize in raising money for companies that are EBITDA negative, or selling businesses that are currently EBITDA zero, that sort of thing.
Got it.
And so these are tough mandates, and we get them done.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when people refer stuff to us when it's a complex situation. That's kind of our specialty.
How would you define middle market?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to do deals somewhere between the enterprise value, or the size of the deal, somewhere between 20 million and 300 million. We do a lot of capital raise. Clients hire us when they need to raise money for growth, if they need to raise money to make an acquisition, maybe they want to consolidate all their debt. Currently, we have a couple of assignments where it's kind of almost a startup. I mean, really early stage company that needs to raise money to kind of scale the business, and so we can do that as well.
How do y'all think about coverage? Do y'all have people in specialties, geographies?
Mostly geographic. We've got somebody in Florida. We had somebody in Dallas that's currently vacant. The bulk of people are in Houston. All of our execution team, the ones that actually manage the assignments, that build the data room and put together all the information, they're in Houston. And then in Europe, we've got 1 person in London, 2 in Paris, and 2 in Geneva, or outside of Geneva. I would say it's mostly geographic.
Yeah. And so you said you're chemicals focused.
Yeah,
really.
I've spent my entire career in the chemical industry. Houston is a great market for chemicals. Most of the chemical companies are headquartered in Houston. And for the last 10 years of my career, I was involved in a lot of M&A activity. So I'm a chemical engineer. I'm not FINRA certified, or I'm really not an investment banker per se, but I did get involved in a lot of M&A activity, either as the buyer or the seller of the company. And I just think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
The whole way that you take a company to market, the way you figure out what the valuation is, and the whole process to me is really, really fascinating. From a client perspective, I've got relationships with people in the industry that I've known them for decades, and they trust me. And so if it's time for them to sell their business, or it's they need to raise money to go make an acquisition, you want to hire somebody that you know and trust, and that you've
100%.
got a relationship with, because it's it's a little bit of a commodity, and so having someone that you've known and you trust makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And so who are you trying to talk to usually? Is it like family founders, or like
the business owner? A lot of my friends in the chemical industry are kind of at a point in their career where they're sort of they kind of retired from Chevron or Exxon, and now they're like starting up a small business. Got it. So, I've got some friends that started up a plastics recycling company. I've got some friends that have started up a green chemistry, green chemicals, making chemicals out of sugar or corn or whatever, and they need money to get their business going. So we raise capital for them so they can get their business scaled. Yeah. Strictly speaking, we don't do venture capitals. If all the person has is an idea and a PowerPoint slide deck, we can't really help them. Right. But if they've got some amount of revenue, and even if there's no EBITDA yet, as long as they've kind of proven out the technology and there's some amount of revenue, we can usually help them.
Right. Give me some of your background, but how'd you find your way into the banking world?
When I was at Dow, I was running a joint venture called Dexco Polymers, and Dow and Exxon decided to sell it. And so that was my first exposure to the wide world of M&A.
Yep.
And, you know, we hired an investment bank and put together the whole teaser and sim and data room, and I just thought the whole process was fascinating. For that one, you know, I was giving management presentations, and, you know, we sold the company for 8 times EBITDA, which was a good number for chemicals. And I stayed for 4 more years after the sale to get through the whole transition period. And then after that, I was at CSW Industrials, and we were very acquisitive. We made like 10 acquisitions, and each one of them, you know, we had to do the integration, we had to do the ERP implementation, set up insurance, HR, all that stuff. And I just thought the whole process was really interesting. And so during COVID, I had a chance to sort of think about what do I want to do next. And I got to know the people at Chiron, and I thought, you know, this is really would be interesting to be on the other side of the table and use all that experience to work with clients to either do a sell side, occasionally we do buy side, and then we do a lot of capital raise. We also do financial advisory work sometimes. As you know, in the lower middle market, a lot of these companies, their financials are not really ready for prime time. And so we have to come in and maybe spend a month getting their books in order, and then we go out into the market. And that stuff we charge by the hours. So it's kind of like, you know, high-end financial advisory, and then we do either a sell side or we do a capital raise.
Got it. How many years have you been with Chiron now?
4.
4, yeah.
Gone by quickly.
What do you, what's kind of like your favorite type of transaction? I know you do debt and you do exit.
You know, I would say sell sides are very gratifying, especially if it's a family-owned business. You know, this is somebody's life work, and now they're ready to retire and they want to cash out. It's very gratifying to be able to help the owner find a new owner for their company, pay them, you know, some money so that they've got something to fall back on, and see their business in good hands, you know, going forward for the benefit of the employees and the customers and all that stuff. So, you know, it's really gratifying when you're able to get a sell side done and it ends up in a good way.
Yeah. In that type of scenario, your buyers are usually private equity firms, or are you finding strategics sometimes?
Mostly private equity.
Yeah.
You know, in the lower middle market, it's not so much strategics, or I guess put it another way is, you know, with these small businesses, they know who their competitors are. So if they're going to sell to their competitor, they could probably just do that themselves.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
For the billion-dollar deals, they're always going to hire an investment bank. The clients we have, it's always like a debate, like, do I even need an investment bank? We're dealing with the size of companies where they're like, I think I can sell my company by myself. Or I think I can raise $50 million by myself if I just make enough phone calls. And so our competition really is them.